Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we are going to talk about the stages of joy. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week, which is we have a big week ahead. Well, a big 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah.
On the 1st, but a day early for you. We will be releasing the tea of the month. And today we're going to talk about it, but we'll get to that and we'll share you guys the password to get 1 day early access eventually on this episode.
Yes.
When we find whatever makes us laugh, that will be the password. But yeah, thank you for listening. And today we're going to kick things started with what I Googled, but I don't think Brooke has her phone out. She's not ready. But yeah, ding, what I Googled. I also have the full soundboard.
Oh boy.
A loser.
So that's exciting. I finally got that back set up. But yeah, we are like super into like full blown. We got a collection coming out. We're super stoked about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully there are a few items that you want to buy in it. If this podcast has ever added any value in your life, this would be a great way to support us, either by buying the tea of the month or shopping the collection. The tea of the month will come out. How many days of the month are in this? 30
In what? March?
In March.
30 days of September, April, June,
March, November.
All the rest of 31.
So on the 31st, you guys will have early access to buy the tea of the month.
Yep.
With the password that we'll get to. And then on the 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to release the full spring collection, which is 100% new, all new designs. We're going to preview that tomorrow on our story, or today if you're listening on Monday, or yesterday if you're on Tuesday. If it's Wednesday, it's a few days ago. If it's Thursday, it's even further back. We'll highlight it for you. So we're just super, super stoked about that. And now Brooke is ready. So how do you want to do this, babe? Do you want to go one for one?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't you start? All right, now, are you going from oldest or from most recent to oldest?
Where are you going?
I'm going most recent to oldest.
Okay, I'll start there too.
I don't Google as much as you do.
Yeah, I know. Okay. If I end up having to go 2 for 1, that's fine.
Why don't we start that way? Why don't you hit us with a 1-2 combo? Because often yours are linked.
Okay. Can I freeze hard salami?
Just starting off strong.
You
can. Oh,
you can.
Wow.
You know, it was the disclaimer of like, make sure you keep track of how long things have been in your freezer and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, okay. Whoosh. Threw it into the freezer.
Nice.
We're going to eat it fast enough. It's not going to be in there for like 2 years. We're going to eat it in a few months.
Less than 2 years.
It's going to be fine, everybody. No, you should eat it way faster than that.
All right.
Is Costco rotisserie chicken gluten-free? So, life update. Apparently, I'm pretty severely gluten intolerant. This is brand new information, everybody.
That is brand new information.
Yes. Well, semi-brand new. So
Her body has been suffering for a decade, but
now I know. Now I'm aware. So let's go back to the first time we visited Yulia.
Yep.
For our massage, which was about 2 months ago-ish, give or take. So I go first, TJ goes a few days later. And she actually said it to you. She didn't say it. Well, she kind of said it to me.
Yeah.
She told me that I was really inflamed, but sort of like she didn't really elaborate.
Right.
And like, I don't know.
Yep.
It didn't have as much impact when she said it to me. And then you went for your massage and you said, all right, tell me.
Who's tighter, me or
Who's
Brooke?
tighter, me or Brooke? And she said, oh, you are tighter. Brooke is inflamed.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Why?
Why?
Why is this happening to me?
Do you know what I did? I Googled it.
Googled for days. Well, Brooke is a Googler / verbal. How do you say that? You're verbally processing what you're Googling to me. And oftentimes I think to myself,
I don't care at all.
Well, it's not that I don't care. It's just that I care about a lot of other stuff more.
Google.
It's just that I would care to be in another place.
How do I get my husband to care about my Google searches? Search. Anyway, turns out all of my symptoms.
Google's all of a sudden like, you've been married for 13 years, 4 days.
Right. Here's photos of your every anniversary. Does this help? You're like, oh, God, no. Anyway, turns out all of my symptoms in life are on the gluten intolerant list. I had never connected the dots. I'd never had anybody tell me.
Click, click, click.
No, never. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll give it a try. 3 days in, I'm like, oh, my hips don't burn when I stand up. That's nice. So anyway, I've been gluten-free for about 2 months now. Game changer. And so I Google things.
Almost constantly.
Costco rotisserie chicken.
Is it?
Yes, it is. So here's what I learned. A lot of other places put flour in their like seasoning mix to make the
good pantomime
outside. Thank you. The outside.
So you're seasoning it up?
I'm seasoning it up. You know, put it on the stick, start to spin it to make the outside really like crispy.
Not Costco.
No, not Costco, baby.
Nice.
Your turn.
I went to Costco today. I'm going to sidetrack that story a little bit.
More Maui Costco updates.
I have never been happier inside of a Costco. The mask mandate is gone. Praise the Lord. Brooke went to Target and she said people were like hugging each other.
Employees were literally, I'm not kidding, literally hugging each other and jumping around.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody had just had a baby or something. I don't know.
No, I think it was that. But anyways, I was the happiest boy in Costco today. Okay. It's 51st date streaming. So it's not. So Brooke and I, our rhythm on Friday night is we do our family dinner. It's either at the dinner table unless it's takeout, and takeout's in front of a movie. So that's like kind of our deal. And then we watch a movie with the kids. So this week we watched Babe, to which I don't think Sunny stopped asking a question from the moment it started until the moment it finished.
That is not an exaggeration.
This is not an exaggeration. Who's that? What's that? What'd he say? What's going on? What are they going to do? I don't know, Sunny. Let's watch and find out together. How about that? I'm not a perfect parent. Just shut up, kid.
Not a perfect person.
Anyway, so we watched Babe, and then Brooke and I have been on this kick of watching romantic comedies. It started with 13 going on 30. We watched that new J-Lo one.
Yep.
Which one did we watch last week?
Proposal.
We watched Proposal. Date Night's been in there.
Turns out we just really like Sean Levy movies.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Sean Levy is a brilliant producer and director. His movies are just like lighthearted and fun, and there's like no messaging that's like trying to make it's just fun. Entertainment. Imagine that. Imagine that, people. I'm going right into strong feelings.
Oh boy.
Entertainment for entertainment's sake. Okay. Just take a breath.
Wow.
Anyway, so we thought we were going to watch 50 First Dates this weekend. Turns out we couldn't find it. So anyways, go on. I'm calming down. But I do have strong feelings today, and I'll get to that.
They're not that.
Well, they are, but I want to unpack it a little bit. I want people to feel the rage.
Oh gosh. All right.
Consider it all joy.
Does my Cricut cut fabric? Turns out it does.
Nice.
Only one version of the Cricut does, and I'm pretty sure it's the version I have. Are we still doing 2 for 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Are peanut butter M&Ms gluten free? Yes, they are.
Cartoon cat drawing. Sonny asked me to draw cats. I nailed it.
Yeah. How many cups are in a pint? Let's see. I was searching some flights. Not going to go on that. Size of an Instagram highlight cover. I couldn't remember. It's usually saved in my Photoshop, and it wasn't. And I was like, why am I still Googling this? I should know this by now.
You must have had my phone for a day.
I'm sure I did. When I was Googling
when
Eddie?
Can I give my baby avocado?
Yep.
When can my baby first start eating solid foods? What age can my baby start eating foods? So
yeah,
those were all yours.
I also Googled on your phone last night. That actor, right? Okay, sorry. I got to scroll through a lot of like beauty counter links that I wasn't actually Googling. They're just in my history.
I think that's it for me. I really don't Google a lot.
Sending things to people.
I Googled some flights.
I Googled I was trying
Soft
to
white dinner rolls by King Arthur Bakery
Yes.
or baking. They had a book. They had a King Arthur's baking book at Costco today,
Whoa.
but not in the budget. So
Not today.
I left it. See you on April 1st.
Yeah, exactly. The amount of things I'm buying April 1st is almost defeats the purpose. Planets drawing, outer space drawing, spacesuit clip art, order of planets and solar system, planets in order image. Clearly, we were homeschooling some things there. Oh, this makes me feel sad, but not. Why does my 7-year-old feel so sad at bedtime?
Oh, yeah. You can talk about that a little bit.
So, Junie, bless her heart, which I probably could have Googled that sans age, but
Yeah.
sometimes the age stuff is actually very specifically
Yeah,
helpful
absolutely.
in a Google search. And so immediately pops up with an answer, which I know that like I take everything I Google with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Is salt gluten-free?
Yes, it should be. Typically it is. Because sometimes the answers are amazing and other times like, yeah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
That's not, it doesn't know what I mean. But yeah, Junie will have a great day or even a medium day. Her bedtime emotions are, separate from her day's emotions, which
Right.
I'm noticing. She just gets really sad and weepy.
Yep.
And almost like this nervous, anxious vibes.
And what's great is that when you're putting your kids to bed, you are at your best as a parent. You don't
Yeah,
want
I
just...
hope it lasts forever.
I just wanted to take as much time as I possibly can.
Yeah.
I am here just
For it.
forever.
Right.
I don't want to relax on the couch. I don't want to drink my nightly lollipop. I am just here
to
sit until this is over.
Right.
Actually, I never want it to end. If you could never go to bed, that'd be great for me.
So that's actually something
Yes.
that they talk about. That's one of the answers. So,
And I don't
what?
I don't feel like I make that clear. Like I'm not, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. You're joking right now?
I'm joking right now. I don't
Yes.
express that during, like I don't,
Oh, you don't act that way at
Yeah.
all. Correct.
very patient at bedtime.
Actually, you really are. Probably more so than me. I'm so done by that point of the day, especially my voice. I'm just like, I can't. I literally can't, you guys. I don't say it to them. I'm thinking that.
I'm not projecting that. There we go.
I'm not
There's the word.
projecting that. But anyway, for a lot of kids, it's like a form of separation anxiety, kind
Right.
of. You know, they've been around you all day as parents, and they're about to go experience the time of day when they are apart from you the most.
Yep.
Anyway, so one of the things was actually talking about that, how like, wouldn't it be fun if we never had to go to bed? And like unpacking all the fun things that would happen. And like, I would like to do that too. Make it relatable. Sometimes we just don't want to go to bed.
Yeah.
And we should, and then explain why. But anyway, we worked on a couple things this week to try to help her with that. Honestly, though, just kind of recognizing what it is
Yeah.
helps,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And so we're like tinkering with bedtime to try to make it easier and smoother. And one thing that we realized right away is like, our kids have always been really good sleepers.
Yeah.
But lately they've been getting up a lot and we're like, okay, something's wrong.
Yeah. The big kids.
The big kids.
The baby's sleeping through the night.
Yeah. Daisy's great. And so it was just a simple question of like, what's going on? Why are you guys getting up? And
Yeah.
well, I don't know. You know, if I get up and I see Sunny's gone out, you know, then I get up and get out of bed and Sunny's the same way. And so I was just like, okay, but like, are you uncomfortable? Is your bed too hot? And they're like, oh yeah, my bed's too hot. And I was like, oh, well, I can fix that.
Yeah. I don't like
air
the
conditioner.
Yeah.
Sleep through the night.
Totally.
But it's crazy to me how often your kids will have a pretty helpful answer, or they'll be a few questions away from a pretty helpful answer.
Yeah.
As long as they realize that you are able to actually listen to them.
Yeah.
And so, so we're tinkering at bedtime. We've had a much better week of sleep because of it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been really good. Is that all? I mean,
yeah.
That's not all.
It is not all, but last but not least, why is my washer blinking heavy load?
Oh, yeah.
Even though it's empty.
Our washer died.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But we have a new one. I got two strong feelings. We had a front load washer that came with the house. I don't understand them. I don't understand why they exist. I don't understand why I understand it when it's like in a closet. Stacked. But like just by itself, they just get so gross and kind of grimy and you have to upkeep them. Top load, baby.
Yeah.
I'm on team top load.
All right.
all the way. Okay. So now my real strong feelings. And I finally have language for why I feel so
Should I be
passionate about
nervous?
this. No.
I'm a little nervous. Okay.
You know, I've talked about how like most shows are bad. Like what?
I was waiting for the joke. Be like, should I be nervous? You're like, no, not at all. Okay, so the president, you just like start off with something.
So Brooke and I's sex life. Just like,
Too far.
Anyway,
so I've talked about how like most shows, movies these days aren't very good. The messaging is terrible. There aren't really likable characters.
Right.
There's a lot of issues with them. And we've been watching all these like romantic comedies from the 90s and early 2000s. And we're like,
these are great
this
movies.
is so great and entertaining and just like fun. And you're rooting for these people to fall in love. And so, and then I was like, a while ago, I was talking about the Wheel of Time and how like I started watching the show because I read the book, read one of the like 15 books and, or listened to it. And I was like, they just changed it. They just changed very obvious things in the story. And if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, the Ring of Power, which Amazon is producing, is sort of similar. They've changed it. They're just changing elements that Tolkien wrote completely.
Yeah.
And I guess Halo just came out, which I was a big Halo player. And again, the reviews say they've just changed it. And there's even articles about the writers who are like, oh yeah, we didn't look at the game. And so what I feel like, and this is my strong feelings, and someone, I was watching like a film critic talk about this, and he was saying that like what modern television and movies are doing is they're taking a popular IP, they're putting the name on this, but they're telling their own story. So it's like, we're going to take Halo, but
Because people like Halo
and Halo has a fan base, but instead of telling the Halo story, we're going to tell this other story that we think is important. Because if we told that story separate from the Halo name, no one would watch it.
Right.
But then what they do is
they end up killing both.
Yeah. So then then you as a fan of the game or the IP, the intellectual property, you then watch the show and you're like, well, this isn't what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch the story that I love.
Right.
And then the writers and producers, give me Master Chief in all of his glory. That's all I want. But then what the writers in Hollywood does is that they yell at the fans and say, you just don't love this story because you're blah, 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 fill in the blank. And you're just like, and it's just like, it's so infuriating. And I feel like finally I have language. They're using popular, and they did this with Star Wars, popular intellectual property with a fan base, and they're doing it with Lord of the Rings, and they're telling a story that they want to tell, which is fine. Like if you want to tell your story with your characters and your messaging, just write it. Just write it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then don't be surprised no one tunes in. And so it's just like, it's so frustrating. And I find myself extremely frustrated. And so like when I watched the original Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson, it's so good. And he talks about in his interviews, like about the creating of it, that was like, we just wanted to honor Tolkien and what he created and the beauty of his creation.
Yeah.
And it's like, now they just wanted to destroy anything with historical relevance or whatever. And so those are my strong feelings. And I feel very passionate about it. But it's fine. So I won't watch the Halo show because it's not Halo.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean. So I'm fired up.
Wow.
I'm fired up.
Wow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wow.
Well, I don't think I have any strong feelings.
Okay,
so
yeah.
sorry
I had
about
enough for both of us. So Brooke, how was your week?
Wow. I'm adding more snaps. My week
Oh, wait. Do you want to try the new segment?
Sure.
New segment.
My week was great, guys. This is fine.
Game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
Let me do it one more time. Yeah. New segment.
Game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
All right. So we're going to do this new segment. We've kind of had variations of this segment, I think, in different areas.
Yeah.
Like we used to call it quick tip, but these aren't quick tips because these are
game changers.
Yes.
Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
So these are like, I don't want to use the word life hacks. You guys, we've had an episode on why I'm not a big fan of that phrase.
Yeah.
But they're what they are. They're game changers. They're things that we've realized or started to implement that are like, man, this has radically impacted our family, integrated the group I'm in. Everyone brings a game changer to the group and they just throw them out. And like some of them are super random. Like one guy last time was like we bought a robot vacuum and we realized how much time it saves us from sweeping the floor every day. So
and
I came home.
Also, our house is cleaner.
So I came home and I bought a robot vacuum. And honestly, turns out it is.
Game changer.
It's a game changer.
Changes to the game such
so
that
long.
the game can never be played the same way again.
So that's my game changer. The robot vacuum with LiDAR. I'll link it in the show notes. Because I guess they have two different kinds of robot vacuums. Okay. One is like the one that just bounces around randomly. And then there's the one that like actually tracks your home, sells your map to Google so they can market you furniture. But then it sweeps in like an orderly. So all of our furniture fits perfectly now. So it's fine. They're here. They're watching me. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. Anyways. So I'll link the one that we have. We love it so far. So that's my game changer.
It's silly because I was like, oh, sure, like that sounds great. But,
Brooke's like, you went to this group of,
yes.
very successful men and you came home and were like, we're buying a robot
vacuum. I was like, okay, here we go.
And then also you got to put Google it as a robot vacuum. It just adds
we'll also link those in the show notes. But it really is.
Yep.
Like it really is a game changer. And it's along that same principle of like decide once. And so we decided we're doing it. We're getting the robot vacuum. And so now I don't think in my head, I've eliminated other decisions of should I vacuum right now after lunch? Should I vacuum this? There's sand here. Should I? Yes or no? Yes or no? All that energy is gone because we know when we run the robot vacuum and I know it will happen.
Yep.
And
yeah, it's awesome.
And like literally our house is clean.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there's a rooster that has now taken residence in the front of our house.
Right here.
And he doesn't know when morning and evening are.
No.
He cock-a-doodle-doos? Is that what you know? I don't know.
Crows? How do you cock-a-doodle-doo? Oh, are you so embarrassed? Gross. Okay, but what is that from? I know
that's from Spider-Man.
It's the
so that's the laughing meme of J.K. Simmons playing J. Jonah Jameson.
Right.
So you've seen the GIF 100 times.
Oh,
that's the actual noise. So.
And I know that that's his voice, but I didn't know what it was.
So if you hear a rooster crowing or cock-a-doodle in the background, that's because
there's one right there.
There's one there, and he like doesn't seem to understand that he's only supposed to do that in the morning.
Yeah, he crows all day long. Maybe, I don't know.
Anyways, so the vacuum thing is a huge game changer. We're already in the habit of we clean up after dinner. Now I just put the chairs on the table. And we usually just run it in the kitchen and the living room.
Yeah.
In the evening.
Dining room, kitchen, living room.
And then when we go to the beach on Saturday for Sabbath, we let it run through the whole first floor.
Right. So when we leave the house and take our tiny humans with us,
everything's off the floor.
It does the whole downstairs.
That's my game changer. What's yours, babe?
It's really good. Funny enough, mine actually has to do with vacuuming, but not that vacuum. So I didn't know we were going there today. I recently listened to a podcast about how to clean out your fridge. I love the Lazy Genius podcast because I'm just like, Kendra, you think the way I think.
It me.
She's like, I know that, because her whole thing is to be a genius about what matters to you,
right,
and lazy about the things that don't. Yeah. And so
when it comes to Brooke, baton twirling, genius.
Right. Exactly.
Cleaning out the fridge, lazy.
No, but like she's an Enneagram 1. She likes her systems. And so I love what she has to say because she's always giving you, which I hope we give you here, is sort of the tools and practices and rhythms to do something, but we're not uber specific and you need to do it our way.
Right.
This is the only way.
Yeah.
And that's how hers is, but for very simple life stuff, meal planning, cleaning out your fridge, having a great holiday season, whatever. Anyway, she suggested that after you empty your fridge, which I do, so I'm going to like clean it.
Yeah, which you did today, right before we started.
Right. So she said, take everything out. I already do that. I was like, okay, cool. I'm on track.
1 for 1.
Right. But then before you get everything wet and start wiping it all down and cleaning
what do you do before?
Well, you need to get up all the like crumbs, random like bits and pieces of herbs that have fallen around.
I hate those herbs.
I know.
Bits and pieces.
And just like, I think I said this many years ago, we were talking about how I would clean on Fridays and I would clean in an order, and you need to go top to bottom, dry to wet. It's the same idea.
Same idea in the
She's
fridge.
talking about it, and I love it. So don't take everything out and then spray down all your crumbs. Ugh. It's the
Disgusting.
worst.
I mean, you do life how you want to do it, but that's disgusting.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if you want to be a garbage human, go for it. But it's not my jam.
Isn't the way the world works?
So she suggested using her handheld vacuum to get all the crumbs out of the drawers and the back of the shelves and all that stuff.
And before you were
spray it
just
down.
doing like a dry.
I was trying to just scoop it
it.
out with a rag or something, which is very hard if you've ever cleaned the fridge.
Dry
Anyway,
rag, obviously.
silly as it is,
It's a
game changer.
Game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
underrated Office character, Robert California.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so
Wow, there we are.
yeah, how was your week? It was good.
It was good. I feel
Yeah.
like we kind of just talked about it with what we Googled.
Yeah.
That was basically it. Why is there a rooster in my front yard? Google.
Why does he crow at all hours of the day?
How do I teach a rooster when the sun rises? What should I name my rooster?
Yeah, so
Do you think if I Googled that, it would give me an answer?
probably.
I'm going to do it right now.
You can do it right now. Okay. So we have a tea of the month coming out on the 31st for you podcast listeners, and you can use the password cockadoodle-doo.
Oh, gosh. How do you spell that?
Let's just say you use the password rooster, because I know how to spell that.
Okay. What should I name my I've only typed the word R. What should I name my Roomba?
Oh, nice.
So that we didn't get a Roomba,
Yeah.
but that's a robot vacuum. I just got excited. Oh. Funny rooster names.
Okay.
Cluck Norris.
Cluck Norris.
I don't know some of these people. General Sal. Oh, that's mean. Drumstick. Angry Bird. That's funny.
Is it?
Birdzilla. No, not really. I think Cluck Norris is the funniest.
Cluck Norris is okay, use the code rooster. Not the code. The password is rooster.
Not cockadoodle-doo.
No, because I don't know how to spell that.
Okay.
And that will give you 1 day, 24 hours early access to the tea of the month this month, which you can go to the YouTube right now and see it. Just like I did last week with the collection.
sneaky.
Yeah. But it says, consider it all joy, which is a phrase that we've had before on a t-shirt, but I just love it so much and I just wanted it back again. And there are 3 smiley faces on it that are kind of like warbly. And to me,
How I feel by bedtime.
yep. And that was honestly what I was thinking when I did this design. So I actually designed this, and I just felt like when we consider it all joy, it's not always this like perfect moment of like sunbeam happiness shining on our Bible on the verse that we need right in the moment. You know, when we consider it all joy.
Crows,
Yeah.
we get it.
Yeah. It's, usually through like, bedtimes and meals and hard jobs or, just all that stuff in life. And so as I've been thinking about this phrase, I felt like today's episode would be a really good time to unpack what I have called, I think this is my hypothesis, the stages of joy. And
Or seasons
of joy. Yeah.
Stages makes it seem like you always climb them in a certain order.
Yeah. Rhythm of joy.
Right.
I don't know. But this is like a work in process hypothesis. And I also feel like this is kind of a bold statement for me, but I'm going to say it because if I say it on the podcast, there's some weight behind it. I believe that the Lord has a book for me to write called Choose Joy in an Increasingly Joyous World. So joyless world. Yeah. So this is part of, I think, the premise of that book. So first of all, we've talked about this. I've always said there are 3. I actually think there's 4. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is cling to joy. So this is a phase of joy that I think is very challenging. This is when everything is going wrong in our lives. We lose jobs, we're losing money, we've lost a loved one.
Yeah.
Our kids are
Grief, hardship,
rebelling against us, or we just had a new baby and we broke our foot. and we had major surgery. I don't know. That's just like a really
And the
specific.
heat went out in your house.
The heat went out in your house and family drama. I don't know. That's just like a really specific scenario.
Right.
I've never experienced. Have you experienced something like that?
No.
No. Yeah. So just like for example. And so in those stages, the clinging to joy is like, it is like clinging
for dear life.
Yeah. It's like
is
you
my only
have
option.
fallen off the boat and someone has tossed you the life raft and you are clinging onto it with your whole life, but the boat is still going. The
Yes,
storm is
you are still getting drugged through the water.
the storm is still raging.
You forgot your nose plug. Y'all, I wore a nose plug as a child. And bless my mother for giving it to me, because I think she was trying to solve my specific problem and let that be that. And not, I never knew it was weird. She was never like, you really shouldn't be wearing this anymore. But as a kid, my allergies were so bad, I could not breathe out of my nose. Barely.
But that also is true in your adulthood life.
It's gotten better. And so it was very hard for me to learn how to swim and like breathe air in and out of my nose while swimming. And so TJ just never lets it go.
I didn't even bring it up.
No, but you're the one who's always talking about it in real life. Anyway,
Anyways. So
you're holding on to the raft.
yeah. So in those seasons,
Or not raft, whatever it is.
yeah, like the inner tube thing.
The ring.
There's not much that can be. I don't know if there's anything that's like how to get out of those seasons. Like I think some of that's just timing. Some of that is just like being faithful and remaining faithful. And so to me, like when you're in one of those seasons, and if you're in one of those seasons now, like I think that the most important things to cling to joy is like you have to have rhythms and practices in place, because if you don't, you will by default just like basically survive. Like, and sometimes I think that's when people like fall off the faith bandwagon or fall off the faith wagon, is like, I was in this really tough season. God wasn't showing up. You know, I didn't do anything to like facilitate that. And so that's why I left, or, you know, I got hurt and I left the church or whatever like that. You know, that's kind of, but if you're in one of those seasons, I would say that like the best thing you can do is to remain faithful, because that is going to allow you to see God move. You know, like we've been in seasons like that, like, you know, specifically the first one that comes to mind is like, we decided we were stopped selling t-shirts. We sold our share in a co-working space that we had partially owned to get to literally just get money to survive. We were in debt because our business was stopped abruptly after a year that was kind of rough. We had just had a year where we had a new baby, Sunny, that wasn't the best sleeper. That wasn't, we now think she was just hungry.
I know, poor girl.
But she's also passionate. So, you know,
It was both.
I was working too much. Brooke and I weren't on the same page, and it all culminated at this end of year decision to be like, we're going to be done with our business.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like that's just kind of where the Lord led us. And so that whole year, it felt like there wasn't very much joy in our household. There wasn't a lot of like pure joy, gladness, in our home. We were just sort of surviving instead of thriving. And I have these very distinct memories, because I used to walk to the co-working space because we only had one car. And so I would just walk, rain, snow or shine. And I just remember just like all those walks, like just being like, Lord, what is happening? Why is this happening? How is this happening? And I think that there was something rhythmic about those walks that allowed me to like have these like really honest, heartfelt conversations with God. And it wasn't this like sort of cookie cutter, like, you know, thank you for this food, you know, thanks. But, you know, like it was real and it was authentic. And I think having those moments when you're clinging to joy are so important. And to me, if I hadn't walked to work, I don't know if I would have had them, because like I kind of distract myself with entertainment and stuff like that, especially back then. And so I think that there's such power when we're clinging to joy, that in this like rhythmic, habit-based interaction with the Lord. Because if we don't have it habitually, I think it'll fall by the wayside, and we'll end up spending that time losing our grip rather than clinging tighter. Because I think those walks helped me cling tighter, because I knew that like, I don't know, I just felt the Lord's presence during those times, that like, yeah, I think we can get through this. This is terrible. This is not fun. Life is really hard right now. But I think that when you're clinging to joy, finding those moments of just like honesty with the Lord are so important and valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that was really good. I was just letting you like tell your story. I remember that season, and it was hard. I know in that season of clinging to joy, that's when I started doing my gratitude lists, because that was literally all I could do. It was all I could muster. And it shifted my perspective, because I would usually do it first thing in the morning, or like right after whenever she had her first feeding. I would scribble down on a piece of paper, or anywhere really, 3 to 5 things I was thankful for and grateful for. That often those were things that brought me joy, or that I found joy in.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was me clinging to the life raft buoy, whatever's.
Yep.
They have a real name.
Yeah.
Like that was me. This isn't going to make any sense, but I was both on that boat, throwing them to myself, like 1, 2, 3, or maybe sometimes 5, but I was also holding on to them being drug in the water, if you will.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was all I could cling to. And it really did. It was like a really practical thing. It grounded me to where I was, to what I did love, to what did bring me joy, so that I wasn't just like, everything's terrible.
Yeah. And I think so I've read a couple of books about habits. There's one called The Power of Habit, which is one of the most fascinating books I think I've ever read. I actually listened to it, but it's basically like the science behind how habits work. And then there's Atomic Habits, which is like how to build good habits. And I'm currently reading this book called The Habits of the Household, which is...
Oh, don't say it. It's going to be...
Game changers. Changes to the game such that the game can never be played the same way again.
And so basically, like, the easiest way to describe a habit is like it's a groove in your brain. It's a default tendency.
Right.
And they're harder to, like, once you have think of it as like a path between 2 yards. Like, I walk through the grass from my house to my friend's house, and now there is a path that is dirt.
Right.
And it's very unlikely that grass will ever grow there because of how often that path is walked.
Yeah.
And so a habit is walking that path in your brain over and over again. This is like a really...
It's brain science.
This is an elementary version of what they say in this book. The book is so fascinating. It's like such a brain science book.
Yeah.
But written in such a way that like a dum-dum like me can fully understand it. And so basically what we're talking about right here is when you're clinging to joy, you will default to your habits. And so if you have bad habits of like over entertainment, overeating,
checking out,
low power mode, like that will be your default when you're clinging to joy. But if you have good habits of spending time with the Lord, taking a weekly, this was even before we took Sabbath, taking a weekly Sabbath, like, having a good community of friends who are there for you, like those things, even when you're clinging to joy, they will be your default because the grooves in your brain are so deep. And so if you are in a season of that, or even if you're not in the season of that, it is good to develop those habits. So when that season comes, which it will, and it will again for us, our habits are so, the pathways, grooves are so deep that we default to those. And that's where we find the strength. And that's where the Lord can teach us and show us and guide us through to the next stage, our next season, which I call choose joy. So, choose joy is like, to me, it's like, how I feel about it is there are seasons where like we're clinging to it, we're on the life raft. And then there are seasons where like life feels pretty normal. Yeah. Like, we're in school, we're going to work every day. Nothing is both. There's nothing that's like horrible that's happening, but there's also not this like peak family, personal happiness that's happening, just kind of the day-to-day life. And I feel like we always have an opportunity in those days. We can choose joy or we can not choose joy. Those are our two choices. Yeah. Through interactions with friends, interactions with family, mostly interactions with family and our kids, or the ones, the people closest to us, roommates, etc. And so it's during these phases that that really determines where our heart is. If your default posture is anger or frustration or impatience or bitterness, there is something going on there. There's a chair behind that is not being reconciled or submitted to the authority of Christ.
Yeah.
And so it's in those seasons, like if you're in just like a normal, every day is the same type of season, which happens, but you find yourself like tense and bitter and frustrated. There's something going on. There's a chair behind that has not been fully redeemed or is being hidden, or it might be 10 chairs behind that's like being hidden. Or, you have a sin that you're not confessing or whatever. There could be 100 reasons for that. And so by default, your heart isn't as full of the joy that the Lord has.
Yeah.
The joy of the Lord is our strength. And if you are consistently not choosing joy and not expressing that joy and gratitude towards the people around you, there's something going on. There are moments of that for everyone. Like there are bedtime moments where I'm just like, this needs to end. You've come out 3 times. This is over. I'm not choosing joy in this moment. I'm choosing bedtime. Like we all have those moments. Can I express that to my kids in love and tenderness? Absolutely. But I would say that is sort of how I describe the choose joy. Like, and that's why I love the shirt so much, is because like, to me, most days are like that. Like in the grand scheme of life, most days are ordinary.
Right.
And it's what happens in those ordinary moments that makes a profound impact on you and the people around you.
Yeah.
Your kids will watch you during more ordinary days than anything else.
Right.
Your spouse will be with you during more ordinary days than anything else. And so the mantra of choosing joy becomes such a powerful one because it gives us the opportunity to radically shift our focus from I'm on earth and everything's terrible to I'm going to bring a little bit of heaven down here.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would describe. Any thoughts on that?
No, I love that. I'm on earth and everything's terrible. Sounds about right. That's, yeah.
The worst thing about prison was the Dementors. I thought I was going to keep going.
Flying around. Yeah.
And
then
you'll be saved.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to add more because I feel like that was good.
Okay.
Choosing joy is the very like daily, practical, ordinary, intentional way of joy.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
And I do think that there is like, we talk about rhythm so much because it's a beautiful gift that God's given us. And I think rhythm will help you when you're clinging to it. But I also think rhythm will help you to choose it because like our kids are now realizing, what day is it? Every day.
Yes.
What day is it? Well, it's Tuesday. Okay. What day is it? It's Wednesday. Okay. What day is it? It's Thursday. What day is it? It's Friday. Dad, you know what that means. Family dinner. And so like even just this rhythmic habit of like this little thing that we do on Friday nights. And then she's also now realized that the day after Friday is Saturday. And so Saturday is our Sabbath. You can watch a movie in the morning.
It's only
day of the week that you can do that.
Saturday morning movie.
And so there is an element of this rhythmic practice that has allowed our kids to experience and see this joy coming. And so for us, same thing. We know that on Saturday, the vacuum is going to run through the whole house. It's incredible.
Peak joy moment.
Peak joy right there. Yeah. But for us, it's like, we know that on Saturday, we're going to be outside with our kids at the beach, and it's going to be a time of just like rest and peace and joy for us. And there's a rhythmic element to choosing joy, and that fills up our tank again to go out in the week. And so like,
yeah,
I think all this joy talk is going to be tied heavily to rhythm. And then I used to say that the last phase was radiating joy, but I've kind of tweaked that a little bit. And I think,
is it a phase, or have you come up with the family umbrella at the top?
I don't know.
Or, you know what I mean?
Like I don't know the imagery yet. Again, This is still just a work in process. Right. Work in progress, not process. It's a process to work in progress. It's a progress of working in process of the progress. It's a pilgrim's progress of is radiating joy. And so I've talked about this before, but like, when I think radiate joy, so for me, and probably for you, if you think of someone that's like, who's the most joyful person that you know? Like,
right.
You think about that person and you think about them coming to a party or coming in the room or eating lunch with them or whatever. There is an element to them that just radiates joy in everything that they do. Like often I think about this person being Bob Goff. I think he's a very good example. I don't know him personally, but from the people that I've met that are personally have interacted with him,
right,
this seems to be true.
Yes.
That he is someone who just radiates joy wherever he goes. And I used to think that was like the end goal. Like, I just want to be a person that radiates joy. I do think that is a very high, lofty goal. And I think it's important. And I think we should work towards it. And I think as we choose it, as we cling to it, as we choose it over and over again through a lifetime, there will be an element of us that radiates it in all things, which is very cool. And I think that is the most powerful evangelical tool you have in your disposal.
100%.
Like I've actually been talking to Brooke, like we don't have a 9-to-5 job that we go to. We don't have like a PTA that we're involved in.
Right.
So our interaction with non-Christians is very limited. I've noticed that.
Right.
But I go to a gym and I've really felt the Lord being like, this is your mission field. This is the place where you will be the hands and feet of Jesus. And so to me, I want to radiate joy in that place for the glory of God. And I think for all of us as followers of Jesus, we should want to radiate joy in our place of work or school or wherever for the glory of God. And that is just like an incredible important thing. I remember this story. I remember this moment in my life. So we lived in Lancaster. I was rock climbing at the Lidditz gym, and I knew, and I was part of this organization called Men of Iron, where I was going to be a mentor, and I needed to find someone to mentee. But I didn't have anyone in mind. So I was like, hopefully I just meet someone. But there was a guy rock climbing. His name was Corey. And I could just tell by the way that he interacted, by the way that he talked to people, by the way that he composed himself, that he was a believer. And so I felt confident to be like, hey, we've seen each other 5 times. Do you want to spend a year getting to know each other a lot better? He said yes. But like that is radiating joy to me. Like it's being like Corey in the rock gym. Like you just know. You can just see it. You can just tell. And there's just so much power behind that. And so I used to think that was like the loftiest goal. And so
can I add that for those of us who, like me, I don't go to a regular job. I don't do all these other things. I also don't go to the gym. Let me just throw that out there.
You do now. The girls have gymnastics class there.
So I do walk through the doors and come back out. It's a little different. I don't think that's what they're made for. But because you use the word mission field, I once heard, and it was like the only thing I wrote down from the whole conference a couple years ago. It's game changer for me. Are you going to press it? Or is it too long? Or are we just committed? Or what was it? We need 2 versions.
Yeah. I'll cut just the game changer.
Cut just the game changer.
Game changer.
Cut.
And done. And then,
if I just press it twice.
Oh, it's not going to play it again and again and again.
Game changers.
Wow. The game changer for me was when the woman speaking said, the greatest mission field we will ever have is the one beneath your feet. Meaning that no matter where we are.
Right, true.
And what we are doing.
Solid point.
And so I love that yours is specifically the gym right now. Like you've named that, you're going after it. There's such value in that. But for those of us who also don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I hope that I radiate joy in my home and to my kids.
Yes.
And that it's just who I am.
Amen to that.
Anyway,
so my 4th stage with this is like a new development in my brain when I started designing this t-shirt. It comes from James 1. The verse comes from James 1. This is verse 2 and on. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. But when you ask him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person who is with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. And so for me, the 4th stage, and I think the ultimate goal, is to consider it all joy. Mm-hmm. So there will be seasons of life where you are clinging to joy. Those ones are easy to remember.
Yep, got a few of those.
Like you're just like, oh, like Brooke and I give each other ornaments every Christmas. And so 2018 was the year. And
Yeah.
That we both bought each other the same ornament from Target. It was like this sequence bedazzled, horrible looking pillow ornament that said on the back 2018 bedazzled, and then on the front best year ever.
Yeah.
And so for us, every time we get out those ornaments, we're just like, that was it. That was the year. And so there are definitely years where or seasons where you just like, you're in it and you're clinging to it. And then there's seasons where it's just like day-to-day normalcy, normal obligation.
Habitual, in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're just going to choose it. And then there's hopefully a point in your life where you're radiating it. And I feel like that might be a later season. Hopefully it's all the time, but I definitely feel like you've run a good race of faith if you're radiating joy at the end, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that the ultimate goal, the umbrella goal over all these seasons, all these rhythms of joy, is to consider it all joy, is to understand that God is good and that no matter what my physical circumstances are, I can consider it joy because his goodness is enough. His grace is enough. His love is enough. And so I just feel like that is kind of what I see when I look at that shirt and when I hear those words is like, yeah, there are going to be seasons where I cling to it. There are going to be seasons when I choose it. Hopefully there'll be seasons when I radiate it. But in all of it, I want to consider it all joy. Yeah. And I want my life to be a representation of considering it all joy.
Yeah.
I want, no matter what's happening, that our kids can be like, man, at the, like, there's this question that people ask, like, what do you want people to say at your funeral?
Right.
And I would love if my girls were able to say, Dad considered it all joy. The good, the bad, the happy, the sad, he was joyful through it all. Like that is the goal. And that my girls would know that because of that, the reason for that was because of Jesus, because I loved him so much and I knew that he loved me, that I was able to consider it all joy from beginning to end. No, it's fine.
I'm fine.
So I want to sort of end with.
Well, can I ask what
Yes.
I asked you earlier? So I think sometimes when people see that phrase or hear that, what their takeaway is like, okay, so you just want me to ignore all the bad stuff and just be happy.
Well, that's a well-asked question, Brooke.
Well, and and I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that's not what that means. But also, okay, what does it mean?
So I've read from this book multiple times, and I'll link it again, The Voice of the Heart, A Call to Full Living. Discover the gift of the 8 feelings. So there's 8 feelings.
Right.
This is Chip Dodd's hypothesis, that we have basically 8 core feelings. Anything that we feel can be boiled down to one of these.
Yeah.
And in those 8 feelings, only one of them is
Gladness.
happy, and it's called gladness. And I would consider gladness the feeling of joy.
Yeah.
He calls it gladness. I prefer the word joy.
Right.
We can argue about it. He has a PhD, but whatever.
You have a DMD. Don't worry about it.
Only if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And so he defines, I'm going to read from his book in the chapter Glad. Wherever there is hope, there is gladness. Wherever hope is fulfilled, there is more gladness. So I'll say that again with the word joy. Wherever there is hope, there is joy. Wherever there is hope fulfilled, there is more joy. And I'm going to just replace the word gladness with joy as I read this book.
Okay.
Joy, then, is a result of our willingness to feel the other 7 feelings. Hurt speaks to our desire for healing and wholeness. Loneliness speaks to our desire for relationship. Sadness speaks to our desire to honor and value what matters to our hearts. Anger speaks to our desire to risk and accept pain in order to achieve. Fear speaks to our desire to be prepared, choose wisely, and succeed. Shame speaks to our desire to have abundant life in the understanding of our limitations and to serve something greater than ourselves. Guilt speaks to our desire to be reconciled and unburdened so we can live in the freedom of forgiveness. Joy comes as a result of our willingness to experience our whole hearts in success and failures. Joy speaks to the gratification of having our desires fulfilled, and even to our willingness to have desire itself. Let me read that one more time.
Yeah.
Joy comes as a result of our willingness to experience our whole hearts in success or failures. Joy speaks to the gratification of having our desires fulfilled and even our willingness to have desire itself. And so I would say that
if that doesn't preach to me and my personality, then I don't know what does.
And so to me, when we're talking about joy and how to consider it all joy, it is to have joy is to have to be able to feel the full spectrum of emotion.
Yeah.
Fully. Like, and as you feel that, as you feel like actual hurt and anger, and you feel those full feelings, you are able to experience more joy than ever. And I know that sounds backwards, but it unlocks your heart to experience and feel the fullness of what God has given you. Like, I'll use this dumb example in my life right now. I'm listening to the Harry Potter books. I love Harry Potter books. I love listening to them. I've never actually read them.
Right.
And
I've done both, and I still prefer to listen.
And to me, it's like, and I started this maybe a month ago with book one.
Yeah.
I was
like what, the 7th time through?
Yeah.
Easily?
To me, it's like, oh, I don't want to listen to music. I also don't want to like listen to some like heady podcast or like, some book on, psychology or whatever. Like, I just want to just like
enjoy a story
while I casually clean or do something.
Yeah.
So it's like my cleaning book. And Brooke's like, you got a headphone in, don't you? Like
never fails.
Because I just get hooked. I get locked in.
I think I'm going to start the Harry Potter series. Book
just
1,
casual. Yeah, I'll just do it casually. I'm almost done.
By book 4, you're like alone in the corner of a closet. You're like volunteering to clean things out, weeping in the closet as you organize stuff.
But here's what I've noticed this time is that the book always touches my heart. Like anytime people are trying to do something for good or believing in someone else, like I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But this time I've experienced more depth of emotion than any other time before. And I think that's because I'm allowing myself to experience shame, guilt, anger, loneliness, like experience those things. And I've talked about this as well. I've said that a lot on this episode. Like I'm mourning the fact that I won't have a son, or that it's unlikely that I'm going to have a son the old fashioned way.
Right.
Very extremely unlikely. And I'm mourning that. And there would be a time in my life where I would have been like, oh, it's fine. It's okay.
Exactly.
No
Consider
worries.
It all joy. Just
no
get
worries.
Over it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm allowing God to heal that wound that I never really knew I had. And that is allowing me to see God as a father who is comforting me like I comfort my kids. And so there is a depth of emotion there that is surpassing anything I've ever experienced. And so that is why when we read this book, like when we talk about emotions, like only one of them is good, but 7 of them are bad, but 7 of them will lead to the most glorious full heart that you've ever had.
Yeah.
And
I think that that's so our culture or whatever. I mean, you even just said it, like only 1 is good and 7 are bad.
Right.
Well,
they're all good.
Exactly. Like they're all necessary. Maybe good and bad aren't even the right words there, but they are needed.
They were all created in you.
There you go.
By a good father so that you could experience a full and abundant life. So I'm going to finish with 2 more things from the book. Gladness is about desiring, or joy is about desiring deeply and having a willingness to walk through pain in the pursuit of the desire. The outcome of the desire doesn't matter as much as living in the heart openly and truthfully. And then here's my last thing for the day. No one reaches the highest peaks of life unless she is willing to fall to the greatest depths. No one can experience deep, heartfelt joy unless he is able and willing to grieve to the core, even having hopes disappointed by not being fulfilled. Joy, therefore, is only for the courageous because it requires risking emotional and spiritual pain in the midst of living lives as we are made to live them fully in relationship. And so to consider it all joy, you need to fully experience all of life. And we are going to bang this drum every week, because it is so important. And we know so many people who aren't. And we've seen your comments and your messages of like, I have not been doing this.
Yeah.
I am in low power mode, screensaver mode, and my life is suffering because of it. And so let this be a reminder, if you get this shirt or this sweatshirt, to really understand that like there will be seasons where you're clinging and seasons where you're choosing and hopefully seasons when you're radiating. But whatever season you're in, there is hopefully you understand that God is good and you can consider it all joy because his goodness and his grace and his love is enough.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, man.
Okay.
Sorry, don't think that's the way to end that, but that's what came out.
Okay, we'll end with this. The shirt will go live, the shirt and sweatshirt. So why you want to talk about the shirt?
Like what am I sharing? I don't know.
That it's
Panic.
new. That it's new.
It is new. Oh, you mean the
style.
I'm sorry.
The style.
I was confused.
So the sweatshirt is a butter soft sweatshirt,
Yes. In like a
tan sand dune color.
peachy sandy color. Maybe it's very cool. And then
Do you sell shirts for
yeah, there's this thing I do, and it's pretty cool, and you should go spend your money on it. I don't know.
You want weird? I'll give you weird.
Weird. That's me. It's me trying to sell my own product. But the 2 t-shirts are a new shirt.
style?
The item is new for us. They are like an oversized heavyweight
Yep.
tee with like a thick 90s collar. I don't think it's supposed to be 90s, but that's the style of shirt.
You love them.
People, yeah, so good.
Brooke's all in. And we have them as part of the spring collection
I'm
too.
all in. I'm all in. I need to buy more bike shorts so I can just wear it. Just boom, 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 boom. Decide once. That's what I'm going to wear all the time.
So yeah, that'll go up the 31st. Use the code Rooster to not the code. Use the password Rooster.
Yes.
So you can get 1 day early access, and then the spring collection will go up April 7th. As always, I just like anytime I share a lot, my brain goes blank,
Yeah,
and I think
did I say anything?
I don't think I said a single thing worth listening to. So that was fun.
Right. Hey, we said Gluck Norris. That's worth listening to.
Well, I said cock-a-doodle-doo.
We told people to buy a vacuum and it'll change their lives. I think we're doing God's work here.
Game changers.
But anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week.
Yes.
Okay, I love you. Bye.